Hello, it is your partner, Big Boy. Don't forget to visit the whole family of channels we have on YouTube. There's the original BigBoyTV channel for all your full-length celebrity interviews. Then there's Big Boy's Neighborhood channel. We talk about exclusive interview moments in short form, artist performances, and even artist flashbacks from Big Boy Vault. There's also Big Boy Uncut channel. That's right, Big Boy Uncut channel, where we have even more raw conversations after the show. Subscribe to them all so you don't miss a moment of Big Boy.
I said, everybody on my team is trying to get me on your Netflix show, son. I know everybody's hitting you. I want in. He replies, got you. 2 camera emojis in the fist. I give him the black fist back. The next day, my agents call me talking about, we got you an offer for the Netflix.
Real 92.3, LA's new home for hip-hop, Big Boy's
Big
Neighborhood.
Boy.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is a pleasure to have this man in the neighborhood, man. Donnell Rawlings, welcome to the neighborhood,
I know
bro.
this is going to be a very, very bad way to start an interview, son, but
Right.
I'm really mad with you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I warned you before.
Hey, man, he told me on the phone, he said, you know, Big, I'm going in.
I'm going to, no, not only that good, I said you changed.
Yeah,
That's
right,
what I
yeah,
said.
yeah.
I hit you with the thing that the most guilt
Oh, you changed?
situation, because I know you've heard it before, not
Right.
because you changed, because people don't know what that really means, and you're tired of hearing it. So I was trying to irk you right off
Yeah,
the top.
you changed. But you know what, man? I've been so solid, it doesn't do nothing to me anymore.
I know, and I just trying
No, I
to
did.
dismiss. No, I'm trying to. I know, and I want them to know the real Big Boy. You know what I'm saying? I want them to know, and I know you got a relationship over. I know you've probably been doing radio 30 years.
Yeah, 28 years.
Even I was talking to somebody that wasn't familiar, no disrespect, right?
Right, yes, sir.
I said, I'm doing Big Boy show, right? And he's like, who's Big Boy? I said, oh, that's so disrespectful. You are really young, right?
Right.
I was like, he's a radio icon.
Mm-hmm.
I said, he's done things that nobody's done before. He's been on every platform. I said, I remember a time, and I know this was probably, I don't know if this was coming after the East Coast, West Coast beef, but I remember when you got picked up, Ebro, you was at Hot 97
Yeah.
for a while, right?
Yeah, yes, sir.
And that was a tough thing for anybody in New York. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I don't know exactly how it worked out, but I'm saying just to take the chance on that, it shows you what your effect and who you are
Thank
to
you,
radio,
brother.
you know? And with that said, I was like, how haven't I ever been on this damn show?
Yeah. Hey, man.
I drove you into that, son.
I was like, I knew something was coming. I was like, man, it's too many accolades.
Yeah, I'm like,
It's too many accolades. So, Donnell, you've never been
No,
on
let's
this show?
answer the question, sir. Never been on the show.
Wow.
Never been
And
on the
why
show.
is that?
Because I'm going to tell you why. I ran into, let me bring my energy down.
Yeah.
I ran into you in a casual situation. I remember one time it was at Burbank, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we talked, and I was like this. This is what I said to myself. Oh, man, Big Boy know me, right? And I felt bad talking about the show because I know you get that all the time, right?
Right.
But then you was like, yo, anytime, call me, let me know. And I texted you one time, and I probably was really sensitive. He didn't return because, it's a certain amount of time. I think a person, if you text him, you should call him back within at least 2 months.
Right.
The first 3 weeks, I was like, he's busy, right?
Yeah,
When we got
man.
to 2 months, I had a birthday, broke up with my baby mother. I said, it's been so long since he's coming back. I'm celebrating stuff now, son. I went from Thanksgiving to Christmas. It was like, Happy New Year. Why didn't you return my call?
Hey, man, ain't it the worst when you see somebody text you, and then when you hit them back, you're like, oh, man, I didn't hit them back. And you see like a hell of a gap.
Yeah. But then I said, Donnell, you have to be mature. You have to understand this because it happens to me sometimes. You might have intent. You get a text from somebody.
Right.
You might have intent to call him back right then. Something was sidetrack you.
Yeah, man.
He's like, I couldn't get to something to sidetrack you. And then, you're like, oh, I forgot.
Yeah.
And then after you forget, you're like, well, it's been 3 days. I know you already got an attitude. We might as well just keep it going with it.
No,
if you're going to be mad, let him just stay mad.
with me, man, there's sometimes I'll look at a text, right? And in my head, I'll lock it in.
Right.
And then by the time I get it, sometimes I never get back to it. And I'm not always the phone guy.
No, I know.
So how do you deal with this cancel culture today, man, where everybody is super sensitive?
I don't deal with the cancel culture. And one of the reasons why I don't deal with cancel culture, I don't care about it, because out of a 30-year career, I've never really made a living for myself as a actor, as a movie guy or anything. It's always been I'm from the trenches. You know what I'm saying? All the money I've made, sometimes I done got some nice licks in my career, but if you look at the span of my career, me supporting myself has always been on people that like me and pay money to see me.
Right.
You know what I mean? So my fear of cancel culture is not as much as somebody that's in this business.
Yeah.
They got all these corporate endorsements.
Gotcha.
They got, you can't say this, can't say that. I make my money off the people. I've been lucky enough to get spot work acting here and there, but that ain't really
Right, yeah, that's not the income. You ain't paying the bills on that.
Right. And then it's just that, like, this is what cancel culture want to do. They want to stop your money.
Mm-hmm.
That's all they want to do. That's why you hear people say, I'm sorry, I don't know why they apologize, because it's never going to be accepted as sincerely like you're sorry. They want you to bow down and want you to say that I'm sorry about something. What you sorry about? They want to hear people say, Netflix just dropped him. They want to be able to say, Walmart just dropped him. He just lost his agent. But when I go strip it all the way down, even if I had all those situations, I feel confident enough to say I still could make it with people that have seen me been going to these comedy clubs for 27 years, seen me in the Ontario Improv, seen me as my audience.
Yeah, and that's what I know, just as we're sitting down, that they had just like canceled a Dave Chappelle show.
Right.
You know, and another place picked it up, but it was the cancel culture and the facility buckled. You know what I'm saying? How did you and Dave Chappelle, how did that relationship start?
Well, our relationship started because we both from Washington, D.C. Yes, and like you said, it's like if somebody from Long Beach, right? And then they move, let's say, to New York to pursue a stand-up career, whatever. The people from where you come from always going to ask, hey, how they doing? What are they doing? They left? Oh, they doing it. So Dave is younger than me, but he had moved to New York earlier than I did. Mm-hmm. So me coming up as a young gun, I used to always like, yo, who nice? Who nice out here? Yo, who left? And then be like, oh, it's Dave Chappelle, Dave Chappelle. I said, who the hell is Dave Chappelle? Right? I didn't know. I was like, who the hell is Dave Chappelle? And then, because I think I'm nice.
Right.
So if you talk about somebody else nice, I want to know what make him so nice.
And this is in New York now?
No, he's in New York.
Right.
I'm in D.C.
Gotcha.
So I want to say, everybody's talking about, and Dave got licks at the age of like 15. So they was like, Dave Chappelle, right? I'm like, so what is so dope about this Dave Chappelle guy? What I knew one thing was dope, he left home.
Mm-hmm.
So first step you got to do, you got to leave. It's not now where you can make yourself famous in front of your phone. If you wasn't in New York or L.A., nobody knew who you were. Mm-hmm. You know? So he was in New York, and I would ask questions. I was like, what's so make this dude so dope? They said, he's young. I was like, that ain't got nothing to do with me, right? They say he's young, he's got a good look, he's funny, he acts out everything that he does, and then they said his look on life, and he's super smart. Now, when I first started doing comedy, nobody, and I'm going to say the realest thing I could say, like the Def Jam era, nobody cared about a comic being super smart. Mm-hmm. Nobody cared about a comic being thought-provoking. If you think about that, if you look at all the acts that was on Def Jam, it wasn't too many that made you go think deeper, think into a culture, think as they just didn't do it. You had 7 minutes and you had to pop it. And the way you pop it, like, look at this dude right here. You talking about my big lips, them big lips, and your little thing, you'd be like giving away on you. Yes, that's what it was.
Bangers.
And I'll tell you that I ain't scared of you story, how that happened too. So, you know, that's what that was about. And Dave always stepped to his guns of being socially conscious about everything.
Even then,
even as a young, that's why they said that he was a protege. That's the reason why Whoopi Goldberg was so fond of him. That was the reason why Richard Pryor in a conversation said, I think that you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That's why he always had that. And he stuck true to it. He stuck true to it to the extent of, at that time, black comedy, it was perceived to be a certain style. He never adhered to that. He never acknowledged that. And in our community, it probably cost him some fans or not connected with him.
Right.
Because of that. Oh, that's the smart dude. Nobody want to hear that. We want to talk about them titties or whatever like that. He was never that. In fact, early on in his career, Dave did not have the black community locked like that. He went from 16 to being one of the biggest names on the NACA tour. That's where you go to these conferences and all the colleges pick you. He went to that. He didn't start with the chilling circuit. You know, he didn't do the Cotton Club. He didn't do that. He just had a route that was fast. I personally think, and he's always had a black audience, but the connection that he made with everybody who was a part of Chappelle Show, that's when the streets was like, this is that dude. Nutty Professor was one part of it. But they had it. And he forced them to understand him, and he never tried to understand them.
Did y'all meet up in New York when you finally got there?
Yeah, we met in New York, but I was like, who's a popular guy? And I'd be like, they said Dave Chappelle. I was like, screw Dave Chappelle. right? Saying that in a very competitive way, like, who is this guy?
Right.
And on my 50th birthday, they asked, Dave was hosting it. He said, how did you meet Donnell? And he shared the same story. He said, every time I would go home, I would ask people, like, who's popping? He said, you would get the typical names, Andy Evans, Tony Woods, Fat Doctor. He said, but they used to say, but it is one guy named Donnell Rawlings. And Dave's response was the same response. He said, screw Donnell Rawlings.
Who is that?
Yeah, who is that? And then we would see each other in passing in the village when he was doing the clubs up there. And we just had a automatic connection because we were both from DC. That's how originally, like, our friendship and our bond started back then. Just respect coming from DC.
Hey man, how did you get and with so many people that could have been an intricate part of Chappelle's show? How does that work out for you? How did that happen?
Well, the way
you audition or Dave just like, nah?
No, it wasn't the beat that, and I've always said it. I've talked about this before. Me and Dave had a great relationship, right? Mm-hmm. But it was his co-writer and co-executive producer Neil Brennan, who, when I was a young comic, he worked for even A Living Color or something where he was like a PA, and he just would record comics for auditions and stuff, right? And I was one of the people that he recorded for something, and he became a fan of mine, unbeknownst to me, right? And then after him and Dave sold Half Baked, he got option for a lot of scripts, right? And they was like giving him money. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, we want this script, we want this script. But his scripts weren't getting the green light. So he went back to drawing board. He said, well, maybe I need to learn how to direct, right? And he didn't have a director's resume, so he wrote this one-man short. It was just me, and it was this guy that was in love with this girl. It was something super simple, but he wanted to get used to what it takes to cut, wides, edits, and everything. And he reached out to my manager, who we mutually knew, and he said, yo, I'm doing this short, and I got Donnell in mind to play this role. At the time, I was already doing HBO's The Corner. You know what I'm saying? I was not too many comics that you know that go through the comedy stuff and the serious stuff. So I was already doing HBO's The Corner, so I was a little cocky. I was like, well, I don't know if I have time.
Right.
And but I will if it's time permits. And I was like, I'll do it. And I told him, I said, listen, I know you don't have the money to pay me. Right. I even changed my voice. I was like, I know you don't have the money to pay me, but if you're ever in a situation where you could throw me a bone, I'd appreciate it.
Right.
I didn't know that he already was paid from all the scripts. They just wasn't. He was already. I know he in the background like, I'm rich, bitch. Right? I know he was like, got him. So I did this short for him, and this not too often happens in this business where people keep to their word.
Right.
So he called me sometime after we did that. He said, yo, I may have something for you. I'm working on this show. I was like, okay, if I have time.
Right. The voice came back.
Yeah, the voice. I was like, okay, if I have time. I said, what's the name of the show? He said, I don't have a name of the show. I said, well, maybe you need to get your thoughts together and at least get a name for the show.
I'm coming to the set. Hold on.
Yeah. All right. And then he called me back. He was like, in the show that he was talking about was Chappelle Show. It wasn't just him putting me in the show. You can't just put somebody on Dave's show.
Right.
So it was just him. And at this time, Comedy Central, Dave, at this point, Dave had probably 11 pilots that didn't get green lit.
Right. Pilot Boy.
That's why the name of this company is Pilot Boy Production.
Yeah.
And you got to realize 11 pilots, and you're like, we tried it this way, we tried it that way. So now, who's going to give us the opportunity just to try it our way? And I think that was the beauty of the reason why that show was so successful, because they put a lot of trust in Dave and Neil to produce the show they thought that was right for the people. And I came on it. I was never a cast member. You were only as good as your last sketch. Right.
And so that you weren't comfortable with like, oh, I'm in the next sketch.
No.
Right.
And the people that thought or felt comfortable that there was a next sketch, guess what? They wasn't in the next sketch.
Right.
I took it like there was no cast. It was just like everybody that was on the show at the beginning, it was people that Dave saw something in, that he personally liked them. And not just personally liked them as actors, because none of us really had that much experience. He liked them as good stand-ups or good people, and hopefully that'll translate into people that can create some magic.
Hey, man, did you know? Because when you think about Comedy Central, right? People during Chappelle's show and after, there was an equity in Comedy Central. Where people were like, man, Dave's over there.
But
that wasn't the case really before y'all came over there.
The strongest thing that Comedy Central had was South Park.
Right. South Park good.
South Park good.
Crank Yankers was probably beforehand.
But you got to realize Comedy Central was at that point just for comedy heads. People just only wanted to see comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want,
Did we see us over there beforehand?
No.
Right.
That's another thing. It was just like, oh, there's this new channel. It was fairly new then. And there was a combination. It's like the streets wasn't watching Comedy Central.
Right, yeah.
The hood wasn't watching Comedy Central. But they brought all that. They brought that all to it. It was just perfect timing. I think in comedy, like every 15 to 20 years, there's something that flips. It's like, well, I'm tired of this. I want to see something new.
Right.
Flip Wilson show was a part of that. Richard Pryor show was a part of that. Geraldine show was a part of that. I mean, Flip Wilson. In Living Color was a part of that.
Yes.
And I think that we just came at a time when people wanted something different, and we were able to produce.
When you hear that the show is called Chappelle Show, do you know then in Chappelle Show, Comedy Central, you're going to give it your all, but did you know it was going to become the phenomenon?
This is the real thing. Anybody that can't take it away from me, I probably was the only one. And the reason why, because Dave and Neil had reservations because they had felt so good about so many other projects.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, here we go. They built themselves up.
3 strikes is usually out, bro.
But I knew it because I used to tell Neil and Dave after every episode, I would go to the barbershop, right? And I would call them. I'd be like, yo, I'm with the streets right now.
They talking.
And they'd be like, what the streets saying? I could feel that. I also could feel it because when we did the show, we had to, like, nobody knew what the show was when it first started. So they literally had people out there giving away free tickets. Hey, you know how you go to New York. You want to be a part of the show?
Yeah.
Nobody knew what they're getting. But I was the warm-up for the show. I was a warm-up comedian. You know,
definitely.
You know,
get the crowd going. Start clapping, tell some jokes.
Yeah, that was my job. So I always felt the pulse from the audience.
Right.
And another thing people don't know, one of the reasons why any character I ever did on that show, if you go back and you look at it, every time any character I did, the minute you see my face, people start laughing.
When I saw you in the lobby right now.
But I had a strategy with that. I was like this. If you go up and rip this warm-up, nobody knew I was on the show. So if I go up there and slay the audience, when I pop up, it's that, oh, that's the dude, oh.
Yeah.
Boom. So I was my own laugh track.
Right. Yeah.
I was like, I took that job serious. Every time you saw that show and you saw the beginning of it, if you look in it and you see the crowd being amped and everything, of course it was because of the Chappelle show, but I had just smoked that crowd too.
Right. You got us ready.
Yep.
Hey man, were you Ashy Larry before Chappelle Show? Like in any of your, just on stage or playing around? Or
In life.
In life?
Yeah, I was ashy.
Really?
When we came up with that character, like, he wasn't supposed to be ashy. On the books, it was just the guy and boxers and dress shoes. But one of the things that I tell people, young actors or whatever, like, you can never look at something as that small. And what I used to do was like, all right, I'm doing comedic acting right now, so I have to make myself funny as soon as you see me.
Right.
So the little bit of things that they gave me, I tried to max them out. Like anything, even with the beautiful character that I created, I always said, how do I make these people laugh on sight? So, and I remember when I was younger, I used to shoot dice, and I used to come home, and my mother was like, you been out there shooting dice? I said, nobody been shooting dice. She said, why you lying to me, boy? Why your knees so ashy and scraped up? Like, that's how she would catch me. Then I try to spit on my hand, and now I got a little wet spot on my kneecap. And I said, let me see. What if I make this dude ashy, right? So I went to Donnell, who was a makeup guy then, and every day he was looking at me like I was crazy. I said, yo, I need some baby powder. They said, for what? I said, don't worry about it, right? right? And I had a robe on. So I put the baby powder. I didn't want Dave or nobody to see it because I know they was going to be like, what the hell's wrong with you, right?
Oh, man.
I put some baby powder in my hair, right? I didn't tell nobody. And we had to do that testimony. I did like this, son. And I did like this. I said, and Ashley Larry was born, son.
Man.
And the thing, that sketch, it was the first time we had somebody that was outside of our immediate group, like Eddie Griffin. And that sketch was designed to showcase Eddie Dave. Me and Charlie were small parts of that. That was supposed to be Grits and Gravy and Leonard Washington. But the camera don't know what anything's supposed to do. The camera only know performances. And I just started going hard. And I remember Charlie with the ski mask on, and he said, you could beep this. He said, nigga, do you know what you're doing to this shit right now? I said, I don't know. He said, you killing it. I couldn't see it because I was so zoned out.
Right.
And it became, I would say, one of the most iconic characters in the history of sketch comedy.
Yeah. When you were about to say Chappelle Show, I was about to say, no, period.
Period.
Yeah, that's one of those things, man, that you, and I love that you embrace it and y'all created it because you can't get away from it.
I can't, and I ain't running away from it. As hard as it is to be recognized by anything, but you got so many haters like, oh yeah, you're going to be ashy all your life. Well, if you catch me at 6 o'clock in the morning, you will know that I'm going to be ashy all my life. Am I mad at it? No. Am I mad at being a part of history and making history? No. But the thing that kind of irritates me, and I got to learn how to deal with haters a little better, is that when people say, "Oh, you riding Dave Chappelle's coattails or whatever," I was like, I am riding the coattail of a show that I helped make great.
Yeah, man.
You know what I'm saying?
Y'all
so I can't do that.
And plus, you had did a lot of the work beforehand.
A lot of work. I said, what the Chappelle Show did for me. It created a platform for people to see what I've been doing for years.
Right.
You got some talented people like basketball, any sport. You got some people out here that only need a shot.
Yeah.
Only need the opportunity. And when I got the opportunity for it, I was practicing in the gym.
And respectfully speaking, too, Donnell, a lot of people didn't know Dave Chappelle in that capacity until that show.
That show.
Some people probably hadn't sat in his audience. Some people have probably never seen him do sketch.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So for somebody to say, oh, man, you riding over, like, no, we created that together, because some people didn't know Dave like that either.
They didn't. It was an introduction for everybody. And to that, what I'll say is you can say what you want to say, but that show debuted maybe 18 years ago. It might be close to going on 19.
Bro.
And since before that, and after that, I've still continued to be consistent, continue to stack my resume, continue to work on and do projects. You can't. I'm sorry that I was a part of history. I can't repeat that.
Yeah.
I can't bring it back. But I'm going to continue to keep going on, Am I trying to find something that's bigger than Ashley Larry? No. All I'm trying to do is just give people the best Donnell as a stand-up, as an actor, and as a human being, and everything will fall in place.
Amen.
And that's what it's been doing.
Fast forward to such a great show when you guys are doing it, bro. When did you hear, or did you feel that Dave Chappelle was going to walk away from it? Could you see it starting to get dark for Dave?
I don't. First off, me and Charlie were riding on, after that second season, I created the I'm Rich Bitch tour. Yeah. Because although we were on one of the hottest shows on Comedy Central, we weren't getting paid a lot of money.
Is that your voice?
What?
I'm rich.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When people say that, bro. I'm rich.
When we did the show, we weren't making a lot of money. I think at the time we was making $500 a sketch. Now the way people think now, it's like, oh, I can't believe that. Dave wasn't making a lot of money.
Right.
Nobody was making a lot of money. This was the joint that's going to set us up. So I was like, and I never bitch. It's not, and people are going to be like, I can't believe that. It wasn't nothing that Dave could do about it. It was Comedy Central. At the same time, as they say in the streets, I understood the assignment.
Right.
Why am I bitching what I want? $1,000?
Right.
What I want? $1,500? Guess what? It's the same amount of money. Until you start doing them sixes, them 8 figures, them 4 figures, they all the same thing. What am I going to do with that? Pay rent, get some hot dogs a piece or whatever. But the biggest thing for me was that it gave me a platform for people to see. Now I go out and get my money. So I come up with the I'm Rich Bitch tour. Charlie Murphy had never been on stage. I bullied him into doing stand-up. Bill Burr, at that time, Bill Burr was about to pop. Everybody knew Bill Burr was going to pop. It was no way around it. So I said, I'm doing a show. I could do it with just me and Charlie, because Bill Burr wasn't selling a ticket to this show. And this is not to be insulted. He wasn't Bill Burr then.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But what I knew he did was, I was like, he was one of the funniest people I ever seen. So I could give people a BS show or give them a solid show.
Right.
They was like, yeah, they was saying Charlie Murphy, and whatever. And I knew my weight was up. I was already headlining. So I was like, me, Bill Burr, and Charlie, I did the I'm Rich Bitch tour. We did that for a year, or the off season. And it was at that point, it was probably the most money we was making in this consecutively.
Right.
So when they started to go to the third season, we was a little bummed out because we like this, oh man, we got to go back to this $500 a sketch joint. And we smoking up like, can he call in sick or something?
Right. I don't want to be in the script.
I don't want to be in it right now, but we knew that it still was, it still was a barter thing. And I do remember when we were doing the sketch, the Monsters or whatever, when I played the Mummy, Charlie was Frankenstein, and Dave was Werewolf. And we were sitting at the table. And I looked at Dave, and he was like this. You could tell there was a lot going on, right? Mm. And me and Charlie having fun. We making money. We back on set. It's like we about to turn it up. And I was so excited about this because it was the first time people was going to know my name. Because the thing, it was like, and the Mummy, Donnell Rawlings. I was like, oh, I'm going to finally start to get my name. And Dave looked at me. He said, I guess $50 million is not enough. And I'm dressed as a mummy.
He said that?
He said, I'm dressed as a mummy. I got banned. I was like, pulled my I'm like, what? What level? And literally, like the next day, it was over.
Wow.
Not knowing what the circumstance was, not knowing anything, it was just over. And we still wasn't upset about it because we was like, thank God he left. Now we can go make some money.
Yeah, now we can get back out there.
Yeah, I was like, he'll be back in a week.
And when so when you said it was over the next day, did you know how over it really was? Or you thought like, man, let them cool down or let them speak and we'll be back?
I do remember this because nobody knew where he was, right? Mm-hmm. And I told Neil, I said, he probably went to Africa.
Right.
Everybody looked at me like I'm crazy, right? I was like, why would you say? I said, because I remember we were in the green room. It was Dave, Yassine Bey, Mos Def.
Yes, sir.
And I think Yassine was already ready to take the trip to Africa. He was promoting it. And then they were just talking about Africa. And he was talking about the cost of living in Africa and everything. I said, he went to Africa. Neil was like, 2 days later, for whatever it was, Neil hits me like, son, he was right.
Yeah.
He went to Africa.
Let me tell you, Donnell, what was crazy for me, when the world was looking for Dave Chappelle, the world, I'm talking about, no one knew where Dave Chappelle was at.
Yeah.
Around 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, I walk into a little taco stand, a little taco shop in Whittier, California.
Uh-huh.
And when I'm walking in, some dude is walking out. This is like after the club. And some dude is walking out and he says, man, I see 2 famous people in one night.
Right.
And I'm like, man, who did you see?
Right.
And he was like, I see you. And I was like, who else? He said, I saw Dave Chappelle.
Right.
And I walked in and Dave Chappelle was sitting in there with 2 brothers, kind of dreaded, you know what I'm saying? But just sitting in a taco spot.
Yo, that's what we would call, and I had that moment too. It was like a sighting. Yeah. Like you saw a UFO. The first time I ran into him.
And I kept it down. I didn't get on air. I didn't say, man, Dave, I was just like, man, we spoke and I was like, and of course, very cordial, always cool, but I respected what he did.
Well, when I had that moment, I wasn't as cool as you. I think I grabbed my chest. I said,
so you hadn't seen him either?
I hadn't seen him either. And
when he left, it wasn't a call like, hey, man, I'm just sorting things out.
No, it wasn't nothing. It was just, and I'm not mad at any of that. When you got to get your piece or whatever it is, you need your space. But I saw him. It was at Stand Up New York Comedy Club, 79th and Broadway, and I was at the bar, or whatever, and I turned around. He was like this. I was like, I was like, what? I was like, what? And then I said to myself, it's a lot of questions you want to ask. You're like, where you been?
How long had it been?
What happened? For me, I can't remember. Maybe 3 years, maybe. Or maybe less. I smoke a lot of weed, son.
Right.
So, you know what I mean? He'll call up here right now. And I'm like, 3 years, 3 months, 30 years, tomato. But and I saw him, and there was so many questions I wanted to ask about the show. Then I said that would be selfish of you to ask those questions. And the most important thing is to be excited that you saw your friend. His mind is right, and he's good, and he's doing it. And I was like, and I just left it. I was like, what's up? And then, that was that conversation.
Could you have walked away from 50 million?
Nope.
Right.
I ain't built like that. And the reason why, because I haven't had millions.
Right.
It's easier to walk with 50 million. And I know it as moral as it was for Dave to walk with 50 million. That's a person that has seen millions.
Right. But then not to understand at that moment too, bro.
Okay, the reason, I don't want nobody to say, oh yeah, you don't understand. My situation is different. Like, whatever, I would have, instead of walking away for 50 million, I would have tried to figure out every situation to make my conscience and everything happy. Right. To be quite honest, nobody really knows why he walked away. But I know that it would have been harder for me too, and I would have tried to. It's been some situation where somebody said something on set. Guess what? You would have been fired, and everybody that laughed at the joke would have been fired. I'm getting my 50.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Right. I would have thought about that, and not in no way but that's what I get this question all the time. Is Dave Chappelle the greatest? And I was like, you have to understand what it takes. You got good and you got great. There's a lot of people that's good. There's a lot of people that's not great. And certain things have to happen to be great. And I call it, I've said this before, it's the Muhammad Ali moment. You got some comics out here that's funny as hell, making the most money you can make, but they don't or didn't have a Muhammad Ali moment where you have to put everything up. Right. And you say, my morals and everything I believe cannot rock. Right. Muhammad Ali did it in Vietnam.
Yes, sir.
David did it. Everybody ain't built like that.
And let me tell you what's wild about that too, man. When you see it now, he stood to his grounds, protected his mental, right. And everything is still here now, even better.
Right.
But at that time, you don't know.
You don't know.
You know what I'm saying? You don't know that you're going to keep touring and you're going to have bigger shows and bigger.
And then but what I do know, Big Boy, on every level, that's song, More Money, More Problems, that's always going to be the case. Right. Like the problems he had with the network, with conversation, he don't have those problems. But now the problem he having with cancel culture and everything, and going back to what you said about Minneapolis and them protesting, I think to me, it's, and I don't have a problem with people coming in, but like, I think right now, it's coming to the point where it's just silly.
Donnell, when we were speaking on Dave Chappelle, man, were you there the night that dude jumped on stage at the Hollywood Bowl?
No, I was there every night, but I was on my way to Atlanta, and I was like, I thought it was a prank call. Somebody texted me, yo, I'm on the run, where they said, oh my God, Dave just got tackled.
Right, yeah.
On stage. I was like, who team was he on?
Yeah.
Was it flag football? What was going on, man? That was crazy. That was scary. It was scary for me because I'm like, how would you have reacted to that? It was just such a unfortunate incident all around, And
if you're there, does it? And now looking back on it, you can say, "Oh, I would have had a level head."
I wouldn't.
Would it have been hard to see someone jump up on stage and attack your friend?
No, it wouldn't have been hard. I'd have been right up there.
Right.
I would have been right up there. And it's like certain people. Again, I'm not of the place where I have to worry about endorsements and I'm not Dion Cole. Right. Dion Cole always worried about his endorsements. Right. He'll send me a message, endorsements, Donnell. Yeah, because they don't have any endorsements. They don't, and I love Dion. And that's our inside joke, endorsements. But I would have reacted as a real nigga. You know what I'm saying? That somebody tried to, I know that my response would have been like to get at him. Yeah, man. And that's like, I'm pretty sure everybody who's on that stage in hindsight did him like, oh, maybe I acted inappropriately, but like people don't understand this. In the moment, you got to say in the moment.
Did you have a conversation with Dave Chappelle anytime after that? About that?
And then like, he was mad, but then like, this is another thing. He was mad, but then he said, I prayed for him. Mm-hmm. And he realized we always going to find the edge to make jokes about it. Right. But he said clearly the dude had mental issues. Mm-hmm. And I thought about it, like we laugh about it and we make our jokes about it, but I'm like, man, that could have went. The scary thing for me was like, that could have went so bad.
And he was prepared.
Yep.
The next time you go up on stage, does it go through your mind looking at the audience of just thinking, when could this ever happen to me?
Yeah. It has happened to me, but not. I set it off before they even got there.
Right.
Yeah, people like they talk about the Will Smith stuff, and they say, Donnell, I got a history of like if I feel that energy, like I'm going to set it off. I've had situations in Brooklyn where a dude was talking trash to me, kept talking trash, and tried to hit the stage, and I hit him with like a 5-piece. I'm not saying I'm a fighter or a boxer or a thug, but it's so funny getting hit in the head with a microphone. You hear boom, bang, bing, boom, boom,
hey man, that's what Earthquake said. He said this is like a spear.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, don't come up here. And then also, man, it's like, man, okay, I'm not offensive. Right. But my defense is immaculate.
Exactly. And if you're trying to hurt me, then that's gonna bring out the beast in me. But I've had that. It's just that's just so unfortunate. Don't want it to be. What people don't know is that things like that have been happening in comedy for a very, very long time.
We just didn't see it a lot.
Didn't have these cameras.
Now that we see it now, bro. Like, and it seemed like it was just became open season. You know, like even when I saw Will Smith, and like I say, man, I love Will. Will changed my life when it came to health and everything, man. And I love Chris Rock. And it was so, we could say unfortunate what happened because everybody was building. Right. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. When you saw that as a comedian, knowing both or just being a human being, what did you see when you saw that happen?
I saw an unfortunate incident. I saw a buildup. I saw somebody reacting to something that they might not have been reacting to what was going on then. I saw somebody was reacting to something that they probably dealt with in the past. Mm-hmm. Somebody was like this, man, you don't know if Will Smith had a conversation with Chris Rock before that. I was like, yo, man, could you just chill? I'm pretty sure that phrase, keep my wife's name out your mouth, probably was said before he actually said that. Like, come on. This is just my
like, we don't know the backstory.
We don't know the backstory. You know the backstory. And it might have been like, when somebody say something and you just like, don't do it because whatever that is, it's going to trigger me. Mm-hmm. I think it got triggered. I think there was something going on. And I also think that people insult comics in some part of them that they're going to push it until they get a certain reaction. And even as we may think it wasn't that bad of a joke, you don't know what somebody's breaking point. But I do know that night it was unfortunate on so many levels because those are two of the biggest black stars in the history of entertainment. And for the world to see us beefing like that. Backstage, you get a report, so got knocked out. But to see on the platform, I thought that was very unfortunate. And it also made me realize that I'm not going to be wearing suits on stage as much as I wanted to.
Especially them slippery shoes.
Yeah, your slippery shoes and buttons, son. You got to unbutton that button, son.
Well, my man Corey Holcomb was like, man, he said Chris didn't even have a,
he fixed his button. He was feeling nice. He got slapped and fixed his button and stood right back up to it.
Yeah, man. Could you have done that?
What?
Like, just kept going on with the show?
No, I'm telling you, I know I would have did something. And then at the end of it, I would have probably said, oh, you shouldn't have done that.
Yep.
But that's just the point. I mean, and then again, Chris Rock has endorsements. Right. He has relationships with certain people. He has the foresight to know this isn't going to look good for the kids.
Right.
I'm still doing comedy clubs.
Yeah, you don't have that foresight
I'm
yet.
like this. I'm like that. Hopefully I'll never get it. Well, no, wait a minute. I do want to get it. I want to do that. When I get smacked, I was like, I beg your pardon. You know that I'll see you in court.
Hey, man, you did if I'm not mistaken, you did a special for Netflix that Dave and y'all shelved.
Yeah, we did it about 8 months ago, and we thought about it. I did shows with him during the pandemic in the cornfields, and we really, really got connected. And every show, he'd be like, I want to produce your special. I want to produce your special. I'm like, okay, let's do it. So we got it on the books, and it was at a time where we were kind of coming out of the pandemic. It was still like protocol, like vaccination cards, tested and all that. So we did it in Charlotte, North Carolina, and we had 2 shows to do it. The first show, it went well. I did a good job, but we had like flaws in like mechanics. It was certain
Production
stuff
things.
Yeah, it was just stuff that I don't make any excuses because I know whatever happens, I still got to stand up, perform for the camera, right? So, and it was a good set. Then the second night, we're going again, and Dave said, if we don't get it, we could go again. And I'm saying to myself, like, you got me a big check, son.
Right.
And I just saw a check coming and going.
Right.
And I know how he is. I was so happy to get it on the books, but it could be like never get back to it.
Right.
I was like, I'm going all in. Did the show, got a standing ovation, Stan Lathan chest bump. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I got Ricky Hughes on the phone. You should have been here. I just killed it. My man Country. We embrace each other. Everybody's feeling good. We about to go party and everything. Boom, got it. Right? It was like 7 months ago. And I gave the Dave got the footage, and basically he sat on it for a while. So we cut to like 5 months down the road. We got the next edit. Netflix is giving a release date. I'm coming out to roll out with Earthquake and everything. About 20 minutes before I'm going to go on stage in Baltimore, Dave calls me and says, I want to go again. And all you heard was this. Silence. He said, hello?
You there?
Hello? And I'm like, Dave, you kidding me? And I'm like this. I'm on the phone with him. I'm like this. Ah! I'm going down the hall, getting ready for the show, son. I'm like, fuck! Fuck! And I got to go on stage in 10 minutes. So there, and then I said, Dave, explain this to me. I said, explain this to me. I said, how do we go from up here to right here? And I know I did a good job. He said, Donnell, I could put you in front of any audience and you have a good set, you'll rip it. I said, but it doesn't make it a great special. I had to check myself. I thought it was funny. Then I think about it and I was like, I need more information. He was like, well, I've seen you do those jokes better. And then before I did the special, I wasn't in the groove of doing 35, 40 minutes a night. I was going to Supernova here, and I was going to open mics. I was trying my stuff off 5 minutes here, 6 minutes. I wasn't putting the set together where I had my rhythm of it. I had to pop, 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 pop. And hopefully I get it right. Right? He said, there was a lot of COVID stuff in there. And he said, I seen you do the jokes better. And I'm like, Dave, you always going to see me do the jokes better if you keep seeing me do the jokes. Did it work? You know what I'm saying? And I also know that it was part of the home team with Earthquake. And I also realized that me and Quake had similar premises on some of the things we talked about. So if you're coming through under the umbrella of the home team, you wanted to feel different and stop. And after I sucked it up and said, whatever, nigga.
Right. Gotta have some ego in there.
Yeah, but I'm gonna tell you, this is how work, and this is how things work out. So I had to suck it up.
And it was shelved.
It was shelved. But the thing about it was, I couldn't be ultimately mad because the check had cleared.
Right.
A big one, right? And I was like, okay, we'll find time. Then I was like, my agent was like, we got to do it again. When are you going to do it? I said, wait a minute, y'all. Don't get caught up in this. Because, Donnell, you smoking right now. You just was in Pixar's Soul that won an Oscar. You were in BMF. I got so much other stuff that's going on. I was like, this could be the ice on the cake. Let's push it back. In the interim of that, Snoop, I saw on his page, he was doing Snoop fucking around comedy special,
yeah,
right?
for Netflix, right?
And
Netflix
I'm like, and I'm saying to myself, how do I keep getting passed up on these things, right? I saw that, I was like, oh, whatever. Oversight, or maybe other people. I don't know how that works. And I was cool with it. And then when I saw another joint and they said, just added some more, I'm like, wait a minute, y'all adding people? So I talked to my agents and I said, yo, Snoop is doing a special on Netflix, I want in. Because I don't really call in favors. I usually try to go through the right channels to do it the industry way. So I reached out to them and everybody was gunning for it. Nobody could get anything done. I was like, wait a minute, you got Snoop number. I said, he's not going to treat you like Big Boy.
Right.
And then right, but look, then I said, everybody on my team is trying to get me on your Netflix show, son. I know everybody's hitting you. I want in. He replies, got you, 2 camera emojis in the fist. I give him the black fist back. The next day, my agents called me talking about, we got you an offer for the Netflix. I did a screenshot and I sent it to them. I was like, no, you didn't. No, you didn't, man. But that's happened. It was so beautiful because everybody, like a lot of people is getting a lot of heat. And it was a nice little thing in an interim of me doing my special, which I'm going to shoot probably next month. I think it'd be a good idea to close the year out with it. But everything happens for a reason. And I was mature enough to not take it personal and accept the constructive criticism and use it in my favor. So now the setup is even going to be better.
Right.
What people saw, what I did in those 10 minutes on the Snoop special, you times that times whatever else I'm going to do. Because everybody's talking about special. You getting people that's getting special, nothing special about them. And it's not about how much time you do. It's like what you do with the time that you have.
Right.
And that 10 minutes I did on Snoop joint would kind of like smash most people's
How do you
hours.
feel about the headlining? Because I know that Monique had a problem with DL. They were going back and forth.
Right.
Is it a must that you headline? Or
No, I don't. No, I just got to get the right money for the position, the role that I'm playing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I don't want to. I had situations where people wanted me to close shows and the other person got more money. Before I was like, we're not going to do that.
Right.
But I don't have no problem. I don't have no ego. Me and Earthquake have the Legendary tour right now.
Yes, sir.
And we both pound for pound can like rock a crowd. But I know I'm there to set him up for him, get my thing off, which I'm going to go hard. And my brother is nice. I don't have to hairline. It's just like, what am I getting? What job am I getting paid for?
I hear you.
You know, I've been on certain lineups where I'm like this. Man, I know they get more money than me.
Right.
But I was like this, okay.
Right.
Here we
go. Do you
go.
ever feel like, and I know I'm better?
I don't never think better.
Right.
I know I can get the job done. Because any given Sunday, you could go out there swinging. It just might not be your night. I don't never think I'm better than anybody, but I do feel like I'm nicer than most people out there.
Right.
And I let it fall the way it's going to fall.
Man, so speaking of Legendary, you and Earthquake,
Yes.
you guys got this weekend, man, Redondo Beach Performing Arts Center in Redondo Beach. There's 2 shows there Saturday night.
Yes.
5 p.m.
Right.
And also 8:30 p.m.
Yeah, and we going to the Bay, man. Did they give you a list? I got so much stuff. We got a Bay. We in Oakland. Bottom line is, if you the Bay, go to Ticketmaster.com, put in Legendary Tour, Earthquake, Donnell Rawlings, and those tickets will come up. We there Sunday, and then we got some more dates in the near future. But it's important for us to do well on these shows.
Yes, sir.
Bay Area, San Francisco, Oakland, Napa, wherever you are.
Right.
Go to earthquake.com, go to DonnellRawlings.com, and get those tickets for this Sunday. And I think that show's at 7.
And you know what I love about just running through here as well, man, is that we don't get a lot of Earthquake and Donnell here on the West. That's why I'm telling people it's so important for us to show up, for us to have a good time, man. Redondo Beach Performing Arts Center. I haven't been in there, and I've never seen comedy there.
Is it an amphitheater?
It's Redondo Beach Performing Arts Theater. I don't know center.
It's
yeah,
because we've been doing like the place we just left in Atlanta. It was an amphitheater, and it said the same thing that nobody's ever done comedy. And that place reminded me of the Greek theater.
Right.
But yeah, but whatever it is,
I haven't been in there, and I'm from here.
Oh,
you
yeah?
know what I'm saying? But
that's how it always is. People from there, like you people live in New York, man. I never been to the Eiffel Tower. I mean, I never been to the World Trade Center. Well, not too many people going there now.
But you know what? But that's real with me, man. I don't know what the Getty Center is. That like when you see it off the 405, and it's like the Getty Museum. I'm like, I don't know what's in there. You know what
but
I'm
I'm just like, and this is like, probably, I've done some big shows here with Dave, but this is important to us because you're getting 2 like vets, like
man,
together with us. We got the experience,
and this can't fail. This is, you know what I'm saying? Like this, you just show up to blow up, bro. We had a good time. Quake know what he does, man, and we got to make sure that we get out there, just have a good time, man. It's good to just laugh with everything that's going on.
The vibe and like it's just all positive energy. We've got 3 of these shows under our belt. Every city we go to, it's been nice. Reception's been good, and then people are coming to see people that they've been following and supporting for a very long time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So once again, man, out here, Redondo Beach Performing Arts Center, if I'm not mistaken. Make sure you guys grab your tickets, man. It's 2 shows Saturday night, 5 p.m. and 8:30 p.m. Make sure y'all grab that up. Donnell, it is a pleasure to have you in the neighborhood, bro.
I can't wait to text you again, son.
And we're going to make sure that we get down even more so.
Yes, sir.
Trust that, man. Donnell Rawlings in the neighborhood, Big Boy's neighborhood.